866-0333 for your free document management evaluation today.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a veteran, thank you for your service. We don't want to stop saying that all day long. We've been doing it all morning long, and I'm saying it right now because wait till you hear this story. Gus Lee is on the phone. He has a book called With Schwarzkopf. Sounds like he was kind of a renegade kind of a guy, huh?
Yeah.
and then guess who straightened him out? This is amazing. H. Norman Schwarzkopf. When did Schwarzkopf pass away? Is it 2013 or something?
I don't recall the year. I'm sorry.
Gus Lee is on the phone, and he was mentored as a cadet by H. Norman Schwarzkopf at the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he later became the first chair of character development. That makes sense, considering Mr. Schwarzkopf and everything we've ever or never known about him. I guess we learned a lot more just with this one book. Life Lessons of the Bear is the subtitle. Gus Lee, what an honor. Thank you so much for being on this show.
Larry, the privilege is mine. Thank you very much, and thanks for recognizing veterans.
Where are you calling from?
I'm in the Seattle, Washington area, so I'm really close to you except in geography and time.
Well, thank you for getting up early to be with us.
It's fine. It's this is late, for military culture, so it's
okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
But we should have already gotten in about 2 or 3 hours of work by now.
That's right. All right. So let me use the current lineup of presidential candidates. When I look at the lineup of candidates, whether it's for the president or even something local, I always look for a leader. And there are very few people in our time, contemporary people, who really seem like they were leaders. Mr. Schwarzkopf is one of them. He was a true leader, wasn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, if he were not a leader, then we've lost the definition. And it's really true. We've come to accept a certain amount of telegenic presence, drama, splash. We've confused a celebrity sort of profile with leadership, and they're very different. I mean, it's nice and it's helpful if a leader also does well in terms of mass communication, but it certainly is not the requirement.
He's somebody bigger than life, as Schwarzkopf was. It almost seems like he would have no friends, but you were actually his friend.
Yes, so that initial contact at West Point, when he was my one of my engineering professors, would stretch across 47 years. How
much older was he than you?
13 years.
13 years.
So I was 20, and he was on his way to 33. Technically, 13 years. So it's not quite a generation. But his wisdom was so profound, and my immaturity was so deep that he quickly took on like a father role. I mean, certainly a coach and a mentor.
All right, so let's talk about you just for a bit. You were in West Point, which obviously is an accomplishment in and of itself. But what you were just kind of. What's I'm looking for here, Robin?
Lazy.
Goofing off. You were goofing off a lot. Yeah.
Lazy.
Renegade.
Yeah.
You use that word, renegade.
A renegade. Well, I think of renegade as being more noble than what it was. But I had learned, unfortunately, an incorrect lesson in high school and my first virtually 3 years at West Point, which is I could get by without studying.
So were you in jeopardy of being kicked out? Absolutely.
I was in jeopardy, deep jeopardy of never getting in, because I wasn't as spectacular as most of my classmates. I mean, the majority of them were student body presidents and football team captains. And I only won, a student body office and played junior varsity sports. So they were healthy. I mean, I actually got in with something of a broken body with 4 medical waivers. So in many ways, I didn't fit. Not to mention that back in the 1960s, I was one of 4 Asian cadets out of 3,000.
Oh.
3,000.
And how does that? How does your ethnicity? How does that play a role?
Well, it really taught me 2 things, I'd say, that would stand out for the rest of my life. Number one, the Army and West Point had truly one color, and it was green. So we learned very quickly that whatever our regional, ethnic, religious differences were, that this was a meritocracy. So you could be Asian and look funny and stand out, or you could be one of the rare African Americans or Hispanic Americans or Native Americans. And if you could meet the standards, you were in.
Okay.
And there'd be jokes, about people who were tall or who were short, who were good at this or bad at something else, but they were universal. So that it was a genuine meritocracy, and so I would love that always.
What I would like to know is this, and I don't know Mr. Schwarzkopf, but I know people like him, and people like him typically are quick to want to help groom a young person who is showing promise. But if you're cutting up a lot and you're just not giving it your all, for him to say, you know what, I want to help this guy instead of the guy who's at the top of the class. I want to help this guy who's struggling. That says a lot about him. I mean, even more than if he was helping the top guy in the class. Exactly.
Now, he was a genuine rocket scientist. His advanced degree was in missile engineering, and he was a certified genius. And that's really the second point about being Asian. Being Asian helped Norm Schwarzkopf pick me out of the 12 students in our engineering section, and he selected me for personal development. And that speaks to your larger point. What I learned in the Army and what I learned about leadership from the Bear, from H. Norman, is that we are responsible. Leaders are responsible for developing others into becoming leaders of character. There are plenty of people, and the whole culture supports us being better academically, intellectually, professionally, skills-wise, and so forth. But the most effective leader creates leaders of moral courage who then do the right thing with whatever it is that they've learned in the profession. And he was exceptional at that.
And you and he crossed that divide because he was the establishment and you were not. And it takes a lot of effort on both parts to have that kind of a mutual respect for each other.
That's really true. I had to learn the respect at first because I thought he was just picking on me, which to a certain extent was true. But he wasn't doing it punitively. It wasn't doing it as punishment, as discipline, but instead to help me grow a backbone so I could be useful to others. And I think that that's what a leader of character does. Of course, the leader of character finds it naturally inviting to spend time with high-speed people who get it quickly and are the most efficient. And as a natural consequence of that, what I've seen in across 50 professions and industries, as now a leadership expert because of what H. Norman gave me, is that most managers lead by favoritism. They spend, which means they don't lead. They focus their time on the rock stars who are fun to be with because they get stuff done and they're similar to the people who hold power. They get favoritism. And you immediately split your organizations into a three-part bell curve. The high speed, the low speed, who get rejected and ignored, never get taken to lunch, and the people in the middle who float between the two sides.
Can I ask you about
and then we wonder, where are our leaders? It's like,
Gus,
I do it's easy.
Tell me about your own father. Was Schwarzkopf a replacement for your father, or was your father a leader also in your life? Tell me about him.
My father wanted to be a leader, but he had been frustrated by and really handicapped by a terrible youth and a very difficult life. So H. Norman Schwarzkopf was definitely a father-like replacement. I was looking for someone who would not be violent, arbitrary, and dangerous.
Okay, so let me, and that's
he looked all those things, but wasn't.
So a father figure or a father often will take on this approach to fatherhood, which is, I am the father, I am not the friend of my children. Did General Schwarzkopf, did he ever let his hair down, so to speak, and allow you two to be friends? I'm looking at a picture here. It looks like you are friends in this one picture.
Yes, we did become friends, and we were not. I would say I was his mentee for the vast majority of our relationship, which had elements of friend-like admissions. And I believe that those admissions were not done for his sake of affinity or comradeship. He had plenty of people that he could access for that.
Right.
But it was always to teach me a lesson. It was always to model something for me to retain, to use for the benefit of others. It wasn't to make me, individually improved for my sake. But in the Army, the culture is you have to lead in order to make more leaders. And if we have that, as opposed to just technically proficient individuals who know how to operate weapons and radios and communicate and maneuver and move and close with the enemy, I mean, you need that for sure. But if you have people of character, then you have an American Army that will always be distinct from, as an example, the Wehrmacht of World War II, or Mussolini's army, or the army of the Empire of Japan, which, they also knew how to fire guns and close with the enemy.
Yeah.
But there is a character element that is uniquely American that Norman Schwarzkopf
are you
and embedding in others.
We have to take a break, so I'll ask this question and then take the break, and maybe after the break we can get an answer. But the question will be, are you the person you are because of General Schwarzkopf? So we'll take that break right now and return. This is such a fascinating interview. Mm-hmm. The book is called With Schwarzkopf. If you haven't heard the whole thing, Gus Lee is on the phone. He wrote the book. He was probably one of General Schwarzkopf's, I don't want to say few close friends, but you're definitely one of the only friends who was a cadet. Am I right about that?
Correct.
Okay.
And who maintained contact with them across the next half-century.
Yeah, and am I right? He died 2 years ago.
Yeah, he died 2 days after Christmas, 2012.
2012.
So
okay,
so
almost 3 years. Almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, we're coming up in 3 years.
All right, we will take a little break. We'll continue this conversation. The phone lines are open, by the way, if you want to call in and ask a question of Gus. So give us a chance to get this commercial break out of the way, and we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. The low clouds and areas of fog will give way to partly sunny skies today in this Veterans Day holiday with a high of 81 to 85. Tonight will be mainly clear with lows ranging from the upper 50s and a few inland spots to the mid to upper 60s along the coast. Tomorrow mostly sunny and quite warm, high 84 to 88. For Friday, plenty of sunshine and pleasant, the high 82 to 86. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Ooh, ouch. Does pain have you glued to the couch? Yes, unfortunately it's true that every year we must get older, but that doesn't mean we have to deal with pain in our back, knees, or shoulder. If your muscles and joints are sore, don't worry anymore. Come get acupuncture from me and you'll be pain-free. Acupuncture starts as low as $35 at a Better You Healthcare. Call me, Dr. Erica Olstein, at 615-5566. Stop your pain from driving you insane.
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood, and when I was, I could never perform at my best. I tried the pills and other treatments with minimal results, and all but given up on my sex life. Then, I found the doctors at New Male Medical Center. Wow, they made a new male out of me. Feel like I'm 25 again. I have renewed vigor, so much more energy, and no longer worry about my performance. New Male treated me like my situation was one of a kind, with a custom treatment plan that really works. I feel great. They can create one for you too. It does not matter if you suffer from low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or just want to last longer. New Male will help you.
Call New Male Medical Center today at 352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking: will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
21 minutes after 10 o'clock. It is Veterans Day. If you're a veteran, thank you for your service. We have a veteran on the phone. His name is Gus Lee. He worked with another veteran by the name of H. Norman Schwarzkopf, General Schwarzkopf, and the book is about that. It's called With Schwarzkopf, The Life Lessons of the Bear, and Gus is out in, what did he say, Seattle?
Yes.
So as far away as you can be.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Physically, not spiritually.
Yes.
He's with us spiritually, he said.
Yes.
Do you know what I wanted to ask you, Gus?
Oh, you asked him a question before.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. And I have another one. So, are you the person you are because of General Schwarzkopf?
In many ways, yes. In many fundamental ways. We talked about this by one of your opening observations about his working with laggards and slackers instead of the top academic and athletic performers at West Point. And he would do this throughout his life. So when he retired from the Army, he refused the position of Chief of Staff. He was urged by both parties, like Eisenhower, to run for president, carrying the flag of either the Democrats or the Republicans, and offered positions on Fortune 50 boards. He refused them all, and he worked instead and gave millions away, which he realized through his book sales, to charities that supported terminally and critically ill children, to protect the environment, to work in a small startup company of which I was part, that had a national security purpose. So he played the same way, which is to help those in need. And so now to finally answer your question, he came into our lives with the sole purpose of improving our character. He clearly saw that West Point was equipped to teach intellectual acuity, athletic superiority, and the military art and the military science, as well as obviously give a Bachelor of Science degree in Science and Engineering. What he wanted to accentuate and emphasize is that we have to become people of character. Back then it was all male. We had to become men instead of males. And so my later good fortune in meeting Diane and courting her, he taught me how to court instead of date for fun. As a consequence, we have a marriage of 36 years and 4 children, 2 adopted, all of whom really are leading lives of character.
I've never
and
heard
of service, hard service.
I've never heard that before, and I love what you just said. Court instead of date for fun.
Yes.
I love that. That is awesome.
He dated a playmate. I don't know if she was in the magazine or worked at the Playboy Club in New York City. He dated actresses. He dated women of phenomenal appearance and many talents. And when I was discussing this with him and lauding him for the beauty of his dates, he got that familiar frown, which says, "Okay, Gus, you missed the essence again." And he said, "I'm looking for my wife. I'm looking for the mother of our children, and that this woman will have so much character that, the children will be designed for heaven and not the opposite." And it was like, what?
That is awesome.
Wow.
So, you know what that doesn't sound like? You know what that does not sound like? That does not sound like a tough guy. But he
exactly.
But he was. No, am I wrong about him?
He was the toughest guy I ever knew. I was raised by 3 boxing instructors from the age of 7 to 17 when I went off to West Point at the YMCA, downtown Tenderloin, San Francisco YMCA. I mean, it's the Bowery, it's the sub Bowery.
Yeah.
And I grew up I'm the only Chinese immigrant kid in a black ghetto. These are tough streets. The ring was tough for 10 years.
Yeah.
And but Norm Schwarzkopf was the toughest guy I would ever know. I would know some very tough NCOs.
So how did his toughness manifest itself? Obviously, I'm guessing the kid who comes to the door at Halloween gets treated sweet as can be. I'm guessing, you know what I mean? So
right.
He doesn't open the door on Halloween and go, "Get out of here." He's not tough in that way. So how does his toughness manifest itself?
Well, when you slack, he immediately gives you a buddy check. He gives you a correction. He will not let you deviate from standard. And he presumed accurately, and this is what made him as scary as anything. I would make excuses for myself, which is, well, I don't really need to do this. I'm so good at other things, blah, blah, blah. Typical, John Belushi, Joliet, Jake, Blues Brothers excuses in the sewer when, your life has caught up with you. But he said, he pointed out very clearly that that people of character do the right thing. And when I don't do the right thing, it's a lack of character. It's a lack of integrity. It's not, I overslept, or, okay, I forgot just this once. When you're responsible, at 22, 23 years old, we're going to be responsible for 55 riflemen in combat. And you can't tell them, "Oh, geez, I meant to do that, but I forgot," like you're some high school student or a lazy cadet. So he made it very clear that his presence in my life and the life of others was to hold ourselves in unity to a high moral standard, which is only evident when we perform that way, not when I meant to, but I didn't. And in this way, he was tougher than the most demanding boxing coach. Because he held us to a moral standard.
Was your father mugged?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah, as an elderly man, he got mugged on the streets of San Francisco, and it didn't matter to him that he lost his wallet, and he lost his watch, but he lost his Fort Benning Infantry Follow Me ring that he received as a Chinese nationalist Army officer and fighter pilot during World War II, 1942, at Fort Benning. And the mugger took his ring, and it infuriated him, because normally, if he hadn't been, in his 80s, he would have killed the mugger.
Yeah. So your father was tough too. I'm trying to make the connection here with your father and Schwarzkopf. We're out of time, but thank you so much for being on the air. The book is called With Schwarzkopf. For the listeners, This is one I don't want to give you, but I'm going to.
Yes.
The reason I don't is because I'm selfish and I want it, but I'll have to buy my own. Call me if you want the one that was sent to us. You can have it. I'll put your name on it. The rest of us will have to go buy it. I've got 20 seconds. If you can give us a website, or is it just everywhere books are sold?
It's everywhere, and Amazon has a huge discount on it.
All right.
But you have a website, guslee.net?
Yes, that's
Yes.
right. And I blog on that, and there are Schwarzkopf blogs on it.
All right. Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
Hi, this is Charles.
Charles, do you know where we are?
Yes, sir.
All right. It'll be waiting for you, Charles. Thank you. I'm so sorry I have to cut everybody short because we're out of time, but thank you so much, Gus. That was a great interview.
Larry, a pleasure.
We'll be right back.
Good day to you.
Protest outside and inside Republicans spar on the economy. One sticking point during last night's debate, raising the minimum wage. Here are Marco Rubio, Ben Carson, and Donald Trump.
If you raise the minimum wage, you're going to make people more expensive than a machine.
I would not raise it.
We cannot do this if we are going to compete.
I'm interested in making sure that people are able to enter the job market.
The Fox Business Network and Wall Street Journal hosted the debate. This search now for answers. Why did a private jet crash into an apartment building in Akron, Ohio? This woman witnessed the crash.
It's very close to home to me right now. I'm still shocked. I feel so sorry for the families affected.
All 9 believed to be on the plane died in the fiery crash.